One of the biggest problems Wild Hearts is facing right now is hands down the performance issues that people are experiencing both on consoles and on PC. There's a reason why my review in progress video is about 21 minutes long, and 6 of those minutes are spent going over the visuals and animation section, where I go into great detail as to my experience after analyzing the performance on the PC version as well as the PlayStation 5 version. But what has happened to me yesterday is something that I really did not expect. So the conclusion that I reached in my video, for those of you that never got around to watching it, was the fact that, hey, this game in 4K on PlayStation 5, it's got some visual things going on that I don't really like very much, and the 30 FPS is far from being the ideal experience. However, if I put it in performance mode, I can play the game just fine, and it's not the most beautiful game in the world, but that is something that I'm willing to deal with because the performance is pretty much solid with a couple of frame drops here and there. But overall, it is a very solid experience that I can see myself playing upon hours and hours and hours. Now, one of the things that tends to happen when it comes to hunting games is that if you follow my channel, you will notice that I tend to be one of the last content creators to actually finish the final boss. The reasoning behind that is because even though I'm doing the whole content creation thing, one of the things that I hate is treating it like a regular job where it's like, no, I'm just gonna play the whole game like super fast, get to the end mega fast, beeline the story. It's very rare that I will do something like that for a game, so it usually takes me a tremendous amount of time to get to the end of it because I'm just having fun. Because at the end of the day, what I do, I don't think it is sustainable if I don't have some fun along the way. That's just the way that I tackle these things. So it takes me a long time to get to certain portions of the game. That is to say that I finally reached the point where I can experience some of the things that I've heard people tell me about in my comment section. Now, there was a comment, or maybe 2 or 3 comments that I saw in my comment section, and I'm sorry I'm blanking out on your name right now, but they said something like, oh, there's this problem that I'm experiencing right now on PlayStation 5 where the game just slows down. And I was just like, what? I haven't experienced that at all, because it's true. I hadn't up until yesterday. I'm like 60 hours into the game at this point. This was the first time that I've experienced this. So let me try and explain to you guys what's going on. The footage that you are watching on this video right now is not edited in any way. So the speed that you are watching me fight against this Kemono was the speed that I was experiencing in the console. And it's pretty much like I'm playing the game in slow motion. Now, I experienced a little bit of this yesterday during my stream for the very first time, which was very surprising. It was like I was coming down on a sap scourge, and as I triggered the propeller thing, what's it called? I forget, the glider. As I triggered the glider, I noticed it like, whoa, I'm like slowing down. And in the stream, I even said, oh, it's probably like a memory leak thing. I should restart my console. And after that hunt, I restarted my console and things seemed to go back to normal for the most part. However, since then, I've been doing a lot of hunts and it seems that the problem is in the very first map. So what is going on here that I can kind of like, the conclusions that I can reach from what I've experienced yesterday? It seems like when you switch from low rank to high rank, which in this game it's kind of like chapters, and you get to I think it's chapter 3, you basically start encountering versions of the Kemono that are called Mighty Kemono, which I believe is the high rank equivalent because they hit harder, they have a couple of different attack strings that they'll chain together, and they get a little bit harder like you would expect in a hunting game. It's like, hey, high rank monsters are a little bit tougher now, right? But Wild Hearts does something else as well, which is, due to the implications in the story, the maps change slightly. It's a subtle change. It's not something where like, oh my god, it's a completely different map. But you might get to a zone and you're like, oh, this zone is now like frozen over. Huh, that's weird. Or you might be in like an ice map and you're like, oh, this zone now almost looks like spring. That's weird. So, the maps change. And it seems like with the change in the maps, it seems like they messed something up in the first map, because I'm going to be showing, I'm going to be interweaving footage between 2 different fights against the same Kemono in 2 different maps. And this was all taken last night. So in one of those, you'll see that the speed is normal. It is pretty much what you would expect, and everything is going according to plan, and you just find the Kemono and it's whatever. And then in the other one, it's like super mega slow motion, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Why is this happening? And the only, currently at least, and let me know if you got, what is your guys' experience, because clearly a lot of people have reached the point that I'm at much faster than I did because I spent too much time recording videos and doing other stuff. But regardless, you know, because I have received reports of this happening, I just hadn't experienced it myself, and I think it is important to showcase it and we talk about it. But it seems to me that mostly this is happening in the first map. And it seems to be independent of the monster, because the first time I experienced it with a king tusk, then the second time I experienced it was with the spore tail. So I've kind of just been avoiding hunting on that map altogether because, you know, who the hell wants to play the game like this? Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But it is definitely something weird. Now, initially I thought, oh, could this be that, you know, maybe the map is loading in too many karakuri? So maybe that is the problem. Maybe I should try to go around the map and clean up the karakuri, see if that improves it. That didn't appear to have like any significant impact on what was happening because again, it's not like we're dropping frames. The game is just slowing down, which is weird. I'm not even sure if this is like a performance issue or some kind of glitch in the code or what the hell is going on, because this is the very first time I've ever experienced this in a video game, and I wanted to show it to you guys. So this is a problem that some of you might experience when you get to this point in the game. It took me a long time to get here, and now that I've gotten here, I'm finally like, oh, that's weird, and now I can see what people were talking about. So anyways, that's all I really have. I mean, I don't really have a solution or anything other than, hey, don't hunt in the first map. Maybe that'll help you out. But at the end of the day, there's going to be certain monsters that you're going to have to hunt in that first map. There's going to be materials that you're going to have to gather in that first map. Now, I'm aware that they are working on a performance patch that supposedly is going to be coming up next week. So I'm hoping that performance patch is going to be addressing not only the issues that I showcased on this video, but also some of the problems on the PC side of things, whether it is because your PC is on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to the specs, or in some situations even on high-end rigs. Like on yesterday's stream, somebody was telling me that like, hey, I have a 3080 Ti and I'm having some serious performance issues, and I'm just like, I kind of feel like that's a little bit unreasonable on a 3080 Ti, because that's a beefy friggin' GPU. I mean, I have a 6900 XT, and on my GPU, I can run the game reasonably good at 1440p. Like, it's pretty much 60 with a couple of frame drops here and there. But the problem is, on the PC side of things, I never made it as far into the game as I've made it on the console side of things. And I'm not about to invest friggin' 50 hours on the PC version of the game as well, just to figure out, oh, is it going to be broken on this specific thing? Is it also going to be playing in slow motion on the PC side of things? Which is why I'm curious if you have the PC version. Let me know in the, in the comment section below if you're at the same point that I'm at, which is like when you start playing in and you start hunting Mighty Kemono. Are you also experiencing the slow motion thing on the PC side of things? Let me know. And then there's also performance issues on the Xbox side of things as well, which I've received several comments. As you guys know, I've been doing a lot of content around Wild Hearts because it's a game that I'm having a lot of fun with. That's usually the way that it goes. So I'm having fun with the game, I'm going to be covering it here on the channel. But a lot of people have been reporting to me in the comments as well, like, hey, I'm playing on the Xbox. There's tons of like performance issues. And this is one of those situations where like we have what I would consider to be a really good game. It's not perfect. Like, it's got some stuff that I'm like, this could have been done better if it was like this, if this thing was a little bit more polished, this, whatever. But overall, it is what I would consider to be a really fun game. And the performance is definitely one of the problems that just keeps rearing its ugly head and kind of like preventing this game from reaching its true potential. I mean, if you go onto the Steam reviews right now, the main complaint that people have, which is the reason why, if you go on Steam right now, the game is rated as mostly negative by its users, is the performance. Like, people are buying the game and they're like, oh man, this runs like absolute garbage. And on top of it, you're talking about a game that is also going for the thing that publishers are going for, which is, hey, we're going to be pushing that $70 price range. So people are paying $70 and then, they put this on their computer and it runs bad. I even have a friend of mine, Mrs. Tummy Giggles, who shows up on a lot of my streams. You've seen him if you've been on my live streams, where he told me like, hey, I played the trial and the trial was running fine. And then I got the full game and the full game actually runs worse than the trial. And it's like, that's even worse. It's mostly a ton of inconsistencies when it comes to performance, and it's a serious problem. It makes me wonder, like, why didn't you delay the game until you were able to get this performance patch out there? You should have just delayed it, because if you were to release the game and this thing didn't have all of these performance issues that we're experiencing, the reception would be so much more positive and the IP would be way more successful. And I'm just gonna tell you guys like it is. It's like, I really want the IP to be successful because I think that with the business model that they are going for, which is like, hey, you buy the game once, there's no microtransactions right now anyways. There's no microtransactions and you just get the full game and all of the free updates that we're going to be doing to the game. You're going to get those for free. And then, you know, they didn't say anything, but it is implied that, hey, and then we'll release Wild Hearts 2 at some point and then you can buy that too. Or maybe they'll have something like a Wild Hearts Ultimate Edition or whatever, right? But, you know, that's a business model that I'm personally very much interested in, much more so than the business model of like friggin' season pass. Season pass. I can't stand season passes, man. It's like, hey, you know? So it's like, if you're going to be selling the game at this price, please fix this friggin' these performance issues should have not even been a thing when people bought the game. And, you know, I even have people telling me, Rurikhan, why don't you talk about the performance problems in the game? Huh? What's the deal? And it's like, dude, I spoke about it in my review. I spoke about it when I had the conversation with Cowboy. It was literally the first thing we talk about when it came to Wild Hearts, and we specifically say it's one of the biggest problems. I speak about it whenever I'm live streaming it. I talk plenty about the performance, but you know, when I'm covering the game and I'm enjoying it, I don't want to be like talking about the performance every friggin' 30 seconds, and I'll continue to talk about the performance. We'll see what the performance patch is going to bring next week. I'm going to be reporting on that as it comes out, and you know, hopefully it fixes the problems that shouldn't even be here to begin with. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comment section how you feel about this. Hopefully this video was informative. I would really appreciate if you hit the like so that it spreads awareness, so that people are aware, hey, there's this problem that I hadn't experienced before and I've just gotten there. But yeah, and if you usually enjoy my content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.